Hello, welcome back to my channel, Helki Rain. Today we're gonna talk about decks for shadow work. Perfect that I've got this awful lighting today and I've got this big shadow of myself behind me, which is really annoying, but I guess it goes with the theme of shadow work, so I'm just gonna have to roll with it. I've tried to make it better. It's like really gloomy and cloudy outside today. I can't use natural lighting, which I normally use, so I'm just using this lamp in here, and yeah, I guess we all get annoyed by our shadows, right? And that's why we have to grip and bear it and dive into that shadow work. So I will go into the question that I got that inspired this video. The question was on my huge deck collection video that I did. It was actually my sister's deck collection. I believe she has an even bigger deck collection than me, so that was such a super fun video to do. I will put that up in the iCloud, so go check that out if you haven't yet. But this lovely lady left a comment on that video, and she was saying how she really enjoyed the blind spot deck that's on that video. And I agree, I love that deck. I definitely thinking about getting my own copy now that me and my sister live in different countries, so I can't use all her beautiful decks anymore. This comment was from someone named Queen of the Damned, and I do love that movie. It's a great movie. I'm not sure if she named herself after that movie, but it's an awesome movie. So she was basically saying that she much prefers oracle decks to tarot decks because she hasn't learnt the tarot system, and she's just not in a time of her life right now where she can commit to learning the tarot system, which is fair enough, but she's really getting a lot from using oracle cards. So she asked if you know of any other oracle decks that are similar to the blind spot and that help with shadow work, please let me know. So I responded saying this is a great question and I'll probably do a video about it. So here we are. I haven't got loads of decks that are good for shadow work. Actually, I covered a lot of decks that are good for shadow work over in that video that I did with my sister's decks, because she has a great collection of oracle decks, whereas I have more tarot decks. So this question is about oracle decks though. I do have a few oracle decks that I feel are great for shadow work and just for getting those deeper, grittier answers, more honest answers, more kind of like, you know, less fluffy. I think that's what Queen of the Damned said. She said, I'm not really into fluffy oracle decks. She's at a stage where she's really enjoying deep diving into the shadow, which we all should be doing at periods of our life. Now, I personally love a bit of both. There's some decks that I don't know why, but I'm just drawn to them, these oracle decks, and they're very kind of vague, fluffy messages, but it hits me in a deep way, in a different kind of way, in a more inspiring way. But I do have some oracle decks that are a bit more hard-hitting. I'm going to start with my most hard-hitting deck that I have, and this was actually a gift sent to me by Mike. If you're watching, thanks again for this amazing gift. The archetype cards. So I'm sure you all would have seen this deck. Okay, so this is a really chunky deck, and this really is a shadow work deck, I tell you. You wouldn't think it, you know, because it hasn't got like the dark appeal. And actually a few of the decks I'm showing, like, they're not what you would think straight away shadow work. You'd think this might just be, I don't know, just like a nice fancy deck, basically. But some of the messages I get from here, whoa, they really hit you like, okay then, all right. Basically, every single card is a different archetype, and on each card, they have a light attribute and the shadow attribute. So for example, like this. And it's all sort of on the card, like, so you can get everything you need from the card, but it also does have quite a good guidebook where it expands a little bit, but not too much. As soon as you put a card, then you're gonna know, okay, yeah, I do need to see that. I need to look at that, because that is definitely an energy I'm channeling and holding right now. There's many different ways that you can work with this deck inside. Like, you can pick your own archetypes and then like work with them, sort of. I've never done that, but there's lots of details on how you can do that in the book. What I do with this deck is I pull a card when I know, okay, I'm feeling brave, like I'm gonna look at what I need to look at, and they're not always negative. That's the thing. It's like it shows you the negative and the positive side of each attribute. Here we have the vampire card, right? And the light attribute is makes you aware that someone or something is draining your life force. But the shadow attribute is depleting others for your psychic survival, chronic complaining and codependency. So you're gonna know, like, especially if you're asking for shadow stuff, so you're gonna be looking at the shadow attribute. I'm really struggling with that word today, oh my God. The images are quite like, I don't know, there's something a bit menacing about them. I don't know. 74 cards, so quite a lot. Got like the mystic, child, nature. So they have a few different child archetypes. So that's the nature child, healer, rebel, judge, gossip, addict, father, hermit, femme fatale, messiah, Don Juan, rescuer, martyr, child magical, engineer, prostitute, detective, Samaritan, student, fool, virgin, priest, knight, slave. You know, some of these are really kind of hard hitting, you know, like prostitute, slave. They're not, you know, they're quite hard hitting words. So like this one, seeker. So you might think seeker is very, you know, you have positive associations with it, but then the shadow side to that is the inability to commit to a path once found. And I can definitely relate to that, you know. So what I will do is I'll pull a card for everyone right now from this deck. Or see what I mean? We're asking for the shadow. You're watching this because you want to dive into the shadow. Well, the card that I got for you was victim. And it's very hard to identify with the victim archetype, especially if we feel like a victim, if we feel like we genuinely are. It's very difficult to then be like, oh, I'm just being a victim, right? So the shadow side of this victim card is playing the victim for positive feedback in form of pity, inability to maintain personal boundaries. Is that resonating? But then the good thing about these cards is you can go, okay, well, what is the light side of that? What is the positive thing? So it's like, okay, my shadow is making me act out with the victim mentality, but what could be good about this? And then the light is prevents you from letting yourself be victimized or victimizing others. So it's like if I'm already down and out, then that protects me from anyone hurting me and making me be more of a victim, like making me more hurt, you know. It's protecting me by wearing this cloak of being a victim. That's why I'm doing that. So then you can bring love to yourself, which is all a part of shadow work. It's seeing the shadow and being okay with it and loving it. And then there's no need for it to express anymore when we can fully accept it and integrate it, right? So then you can go, okay, well, that's why I'm doing it. That's the light attribute. And then you go back to the shadow and go, well, why do I want to kind of love it, see it, integrate it, see why I'm doing it, that it comes from a place of protection because I love myself, I'm looking out for myself. Then we can say, okay, well, I don't want to be playing the victim for positive feedback in the form of pity. Maybe I want positive feedback in another form now that I've integrated this. And it's this inability to maintain personal boundaries. So you can go, okay, well, I want to be able to have personal boundaries so I'm not staying in this low vibration anymore of playing the victim. If I stop seeing myself as a victim, then others will stop mirroring that back to me. So yeah, you can see how deep you can go with this, and you can keep, just to go through your shadow, I would recommend that you keep flipping between the two, because when you start to think like, oh my God, I'm a bad person, because yeah, the victim one, yeah, okay, it's not great to be a victim, but some of these are really harsh, like in the shadow side, you know, like thief. Like no one wants to feel like a thief, right? Definitely recommend this as one of the best oracle decks that I have for shadow work. Okay, the next deck that I've got is this, and this is like really soft and colourful looking, and you'll probably think that doesn't seem like a shadow work deck. This is the Chakra Wisdom Oracle cards by Tori Hartman. I believe Tori Hartman is on YouTube. I do follow her, pretty sure. If it's the same Tori Hartman, I'm pretty sure it is. This deck, man, it often hits me quite hard. It also comes with a beautiful book. And this is one that you definitely want to read the book for. It also gives you a meditation for each, which is perfect for shadow work because, shadow work is best alongside a lot of meditation and deep diving within. So this is what the deck looks like. And I quite like the artwork. It's like quite different to my other decks. So in the guidebook, each section is coloured in the colour of, you can see like there's the green for the start of, or the blue cards, sorry. Purple cards, and then basically all the borders of the cards are coloured with what chakra it's associated with. The grey is for the crown chakra, the purple is for the third eye, then the blue is for the throat chakra, the green is for the heart chakra, the yellow is for the solar plexus chakra. The orange is for the sacral, and the red is for earth, which is the root chakra, sorry. So the reason that I think this is really great for shadow work is not only it comes with the meditation with each card, so you can really dive deep. The keywords that each card comes with, a lot of them are quite shadowy, not all of them. But like even this one, like the throat chakra, there's a throat chakra card here that says impatience. But then it has some like positive ones like this soulmate and joy. It's not about good and bad. It's about diving deep into that energy that's coming up. But the reason I call this is that if you are doing shadow work and you get these more shadowy cards, you'll find, you know. And even this abundance card, like it's very interesting if you look at it. It's not like abundance how you'd normally see it. You've got this guy really stressing out because he's lost something down the hole. And then you just think, wow, I really want to read the guidebook to dive in deeper to that. What does that really mean? It's like this card says passion, but it's very interesting. It's like that old woman, she doesn't look passionate, she doesn't look happy. And then there is some sort of angelic being reading to her. Like, what is going on in there? This is a crown chakra release card. You can see that's very intense. I like this one too, guilt. Very interesting imagery. Look, she's like ironing, but she's chained up. And then back here, it looks like her again, but she's just drinking or something. You can just see you don't think instantly like shadow card, but I'll pull a card for you guys and we'll see what comes out, and then we can look in the book and deep dive into that card, and then you'll see what I mean about why I think this is a really great deck for shadow work. And I also think like working with our chakras and seeing, okay, like where exactly in my body is this issue that I'm feeling, like where is this coming from in my body, and just to know, okay, wow, this is like something that's hanging around the area of my crown chakra. So what's come out for you guys is self-worth. And you can definitely see this is quite a shadowy card, so I'm not surprised. And it's coming from your sacral area. So you're going to feel it right down here. Feel it's coming from there, like this self-worth shadow part of you. So there's some sort of shadow, because we're talking about shadow, we're asking the cards about shadow. What shadow is showing up for me? What do I need to deal with? And self-worth come up, so maybe it's feeling that lack of self-worth. So basically it gives you like the legend of the card, so like the legend, the story behind the imagery, which is great. Then it gives you inspiration. In inspiration, people, events and material objects beyond your frame of reference are being drawn to you. Aim higher, for you will draw even greater experience into your life. Allow your energy to grow. Receiving is an action. It's sort of saying aim higher, like your self-worth isn't low, isn't high enough. Like you need to know that it's okay to receive. The personal inquiry, so this is when it comes good for the shadow work. It says, how do I relate to the word deserving? And this would be a great journaling prompt, what you see in personal inquiry. Am I ready to allow myself to receive what others may not? And that's a big one. Am I ready to allow myself to receive what others may not? How do I relate to the word deserving? These are all things that you'll be feeling down in your sacral that are to do with your own self-worth. And the key words, faith, self-love, value. So it's knowing, okay, my shadow is really being felt around my own self-worth. And then it gives you a nice little meditation guide for you to read and then go into the meditation. So yeah, I think this is a really good deck for shadow, and not every single card is that shadowy, but it definitely always gives you that self-inquiry. I really highly recommend any kind of healing. It is great to bring the chakras into it. If I even do any energy healing on myself or others, I like 90% of the time will use the chakras to really help anchor that into the body. The next deck I'm going to do is, because we're talking oracles, remember guys, this is the Queen of the Moon Oracle, and this is a very beautiful, very aesthetic deck. And yeah, I've had this deck a while and I just think it's brilliant for shadow work, or like whenever I want to do any kind of just like give me like guidance on how I can handle this, like lower energy, this shadowy energy right now. It's a good casual shadow work deck when you haven't got time to really deep dive, but you want to pull a card so that you can reflect on it for the rest of your day, or pull a card in the evening to reflect on the day you've had, and you know, like really see like, okay, what energy do I really need to harness in right now to help me get through that, right? So this is sort of an empowering card pull, this Queen of the Moon Oracle. I feel like it really helps you deal with the shadow, but it helps you by giving you a solution, giving you a focus, showing you where you're lacking and where you need to build upon. I use the numbers because, you know, I love numerology, but even if you don't use the numbers, I just think the key words are great. The phasing of the moon is there as well. It has a pretty in-depth, a good page and a bit on each card, and you know, it shows you exactly how you can work with this energy. Like, it also gives you like crystals and stuff that you can use to alongside each card. So that's what the back of the decks looks like, and this is what the deck looks like. I really find the images in them really like give your intuition a lot to work off of, because you can see the shadow fitting in this, like you see trust here, but then you see this girl is all like cocooned up in that egg and looks quite fearful. So there's like a lot of shadow going on behind each of these cards. Like here, self-reflection. You can see in the mirror, they're almost drowning, right? But they're not here. So there's something deeper going on. There's a deeper shadow in there that needs to be seen, needs to be dealt with. So I pull a card again for you, so then we can just see what the book says and stuff about that. I pull in a card for shadow work for you guys. So far we've had the self-worth shadow come up and we've had, what was the first one? God, I can't remember already because I've been rambling on for ages. Oh, perfect for the shadow video. Fear. That's a big shadow for a lot of us. And there's a lot going on in this card, right? Number 11. So I would use number 11 as well if you want to bring numerology into it. I do love it when cards have numbers on. So for fear, it says, the time of courage is here. Fear is only useful if it teaches you something. You must examine whether your fears are old or new, useful or unhelpful. So I would read you this on fear, but it's really long and this video is long enough, but basically it gets you to really look at your fear and dive deeper into that and see, okay, where is it coming from? How long has it been with me? How far back can I go to find this? And is it serving me? If it's not, because fear can serve us, but it can also not serve us. It can hold us back. Yeah, I really recommend this deck. Actually, I probably, out of all the decks that I bring up today, I probably use this deck the most out of them all. I really recommend this deck. Okay, the next deck I've got for you, I think is quite a surprise. It is the Dragon Path Oracle. Is it? Yeah, Oracle cards. And I have a very strong relationship with my dragon guides, so maybe that is why I love this deck. But the other thing is that the book, and I know you Queen of the Damned who asked this question, we're looking for like something where you can really read into the card more, so you want a good book. And it's, although it's not huge, I find that the messages that come with this dragon are like, these dragon guides come in with powerful messages, and they kind of like, you know, tell you how it is. They're not holding back, and they're not afraid of like talking about the crap, talking about the shadow aspects. So this is what the deck looks like. the back. I love this like dragon cosmos backing. And yeah, I can go through the cards, but they're all sort of mixed up. So the cards don't give you much. They do have a number on, like I love to use numbers, but you do have to use the guidebook with this. Obviously, some of these dragons, I pull them a lot. Like this dragon, Delphine has worked with me a lot, and yeah, she's really helping me get through some shadow work. Oh God. I pulled this card probably the most out of every card, so I know Delphine's energy is just woo, here with me a lot lately. So they're really beautiful cards, as you can see. I love this card. This is like Mother Mary dragon. Okay, so let's pull you a card and then look in the book. Ooh, so I do know this dragon quite well. You got the Transformation Dragon. It's number 3. This is for your shadow, remember, and it says a new you is emerging. And it says, let it all go. Fear, pain, doubt, anger, sorrow, and guilt. Transformation tells us you no longer need these experiences. They are in the past, they have completed their task and have no place in your future. By holding on to them, you only keep yourself trapped in old patterns that are no longer of use or necessary to you. A new you is emerging. Maybe a quieter, more considered you, but certainly a more powerful you. Having lived through a great many things, now is the time for you to put that experience to good use. Follow your inner guidance and let your old habits and worries slip away. There will always be those who question what you do, but that is their journey and you are on yours. Follow the steps laid out before you. Trust in your own inner light as you move towards a fresh way of being you. The transformation can be on any level and can affect any or every part of your life. Enjoy it and look out for signs, and in particular symbols. Dragons love symbols, as you are guided by the dragon of transformation to take your next step. So that was quite a positive message coming through. And it's funny how it said let go of fear when the last card I pulled was fears, right? So I feel like even though the dragon guide messages in here are very encouraging, I think that's sometimes what you need when you're going through the shadow. Okay, that is all the oracle decks, but I have one more deck. Do not leave just yet. I wanted to mention this deck because even though Queen of the Damned says she's not interested in tarot decks, I just thought maybe this is one tarot deck which would be worth getting. It is an amazing shadow work deck. Even though it's a tarot deck, it doesn't use the traditional tarot system, so even I can't really use this deck as a tarot reader with my learnt system because it's quite different. Even a lot of the names have changed, and also the guidebook is so in depth and so deep, and I do find this deck quite intimidating, and that deck is this one, Dreams of Gaia. The deck is beautiful though. It's got gold edging. It's very shadow deck energy, and the artwork is beautiful. But most importantly, the point of this being a shadow work deck is that you can see how thick this book is. It's all English as well, so it's very thick in depth, and it gives you just so much to work with. So if you think this is one card, and then there's another page on that same card, another page here, and another page here. So then it will give you for each card, the key phrases, and then it gives you the meaning of the card. And then it gives you the past, the present, and the future. And then it also, which is perfect for shadow work, which you might just want to skip straight to this part, or if you have time, read the whole card that I recommend. But it has potential blockages. And potential blockages is what we're looking at when we look at shadow. So let's pull a card for you guys so we can just get an example. We got the 9 of, I think that's fire. I find it hard to actually figure out the elements here. Is that fire? That's the card that you got. I think that's fire because she's got flamey hands. But look at all the symbolism there. The lotus, the third eye, so much going on. Like you could just do so much just meditating into that card alone. Oh, I'm so silly. I just looked down and noticed it actually has the element symbol. So it is air. What a donut. I never noticed that about this deck before. I guess I just get so distracted by the beautiful art. So it's 9 of air. So that would be the 9 of swords. And then you can always confirm your card because it has a little picture of the card here as well. It has the keywords and the key phrases, but we want the shadow, right? So obviously you've got page upon page, you've got the past, the future. If you're asking about shadows in the past, then you can look into that stuff. But here we're going to look at potential blockages because that is where the shadow is. And this is what it says. All too often we allow fears coming up again. So I can see for some of you who are watching, like fear is a real big issue for holding you back right now because it's shown up so much in all these card pulls. And I can relate, so maybe it's me. Maybe these card pulls have really been for me. All too often we allow fears, sometimes imagined fears, to prevent us from leading a happy, productive and fulfilling life. We limit our potential because we imagine we will be laughed at. We do not express our thoughts and feelings because we fear what others will do or think of us if we are honest. We imagine failure, and so we may simply not try. The 9 of air represents the opportunity to use our imagination to banish our imagined fears. You may have a fear of heights, even if you have not fallen in reality because you have imagined falling, or you may choose not to take an opportunity and try because you have imagined failure. Likewise, you may reject a potential relationship because you imagine it not working. But just as you imagine your worst fears, you can also imagine success. When you find your imagination taking you down a negative pathway, you can choose to take control of your dreams instead. It is in your power to shift and change all that you imagine. When you see failure, change it to success. When you imagine an ending, instead see a beginning. When you fall, learn how to fly. Is it your imagination? Is it yours to control, to manipulate, and to create? Imagine your fears away. Oh my God, I love that. That really hit me where I needed it. I needed to hear that. I don't know about you, but wow, yeah. If fears are in our imagination, is it our imagination? Is it in our control? Yes. Powerful. And I really had this sort of epiphany the other day, which that just reminded me of, so I might as well share this. But I have quite bad anxiety, and I was having really bad anxiety one morning, and I was sat there on the balcony and I realized this is really coming because I'm imagining the worst. That's why this reminded me, because I was imagining a bad outcome of a situation. And then I was well, you know what is a really similar emotion to anxiety? They say it actually registers at the same emotion, which is excitement. So anxiety and excitement, they're very similar frequencies. So I thought, well, why don't I think and imagine, instead of a traumatizing outcome of something that's giving me anxiety, how about I imagine an amazing outcome? How do I imagine something great, something I want to happen, something that makes me feel excited? Because it's not far to get from anxiety to excited, because they're the same frequency. And it actually worked, and I need to do that more often. It's just sort of, when you're spiraling in anxious thoughts, it's hard to like catch yourself and work with that. And I don't feel like that is like a replacement for shadow work. Like, oh, every time you feel anxious, think of something exciting. I think this is just a good tool for us to get through on our daily lives and to head towards our goals, and not to let us hold ourselves back. But in the background, when we have time, we should always be doing that deeper work, that shadow work, and seeing where this really originates from, where it comes from, doing that inner child work and stuff. So yeah, this has been a really long video. I've been recording much longer than I thought I would, but I hope that you've enjoyed this. And if you have any more questions or any other video suggestions, maybe I will make a video answering that question, because this was really fun. I've never done this before, but when I got this question, I thought that this was probably what a lot of people would appreciate knowing and seeing. So let me know, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and also don't forget to check out my podcast. It's now on YouTube, so you can watch us and listen, which is new, but there's tons of episodes over on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so do check that out. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.